Welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
This week we're discussing the bonkers new UCI rule changes to equipment. We've been diving into this and can tell you how and why it's come to pass and what we and cycling brands actually think of them.
And in Hot Tech this week, we've got loads of stuff. We've got a new bike, we've got loads of new wheels, we've got loads of new group sets, we've got some titanium Thru-Axles, we've got tech from the Dauphiné, and as always, we've got comments of the week and the bike vault. Boom.
So this week we're discussing the new UCI regulations, and we're going to actually clarify first what they are and what they actually mean, because there's quite a bit of speculation I've been seeing online and people getting them a bit wrong. I've also seen a lot of speculation with people suggesting that this is all part of some big conspiracy theory from big cycling to just sell us more stuff. But the reality is a lot of bike brands, most of the bike brands are against this.
Okay.
So we will explain why. So first, we need to just clarify the regulations.
Should we start? So where should we start with this? I'm going to say probably handlebars are the thing which most people are really... I feel like this has been the main focus of it so far. There's lots of different elements to it, but do you want to give me a ballpark explainer of where we're starting with this? Because myself and lots of other people are perhaps out of the loop ever so slightly.
Yeah, so we can show this image on screen, and this is what it is, right? So there's a few things to unpick. First thing, it is the widest point, 40 centimetres, is allowed.
400 mil.
Yeah, okay. But then it's the narrowest point is from the inside of the hoods. People are saying, oh, it's the brake lever tips and all this stuff. No, inside of the hoods, narrowest point. So that should hopefully clear that up.
So this is the red box.
That has to be 32. But what some people have missed is there's also a change in this box you can see, right? Which is the flare. So that's that red box dimension on the hood and the drop. That is currently 80 that can be, right? 80 millimeters wide. But now it's been reduced to 50. And what that effectively does is kill flare. So... yeah, like it means that, you know,
so the difference from the outer edge of the drop to the inner edge of the section where the hoods mount onto the handlebars has been reduced, so therefore you can't possibly have an extreme angle. Yeah,
so it means that a lot of bike handlebars now have flare built into them, so it kills a lot of current designs and makes them UCI legal.
Hugely, because that was the trend and the direction that the industry went in. So everyone's going to look, flared handlebars, great for gravel, great for aero, great for more control if you want to be aero and have control on the drops. And now it appears that the rules are like, no, you shall not do that.
Yes, and you know it's going to make brands have to completely redesign. I'm going to explain more why that's bad for the brands. In a bit. But also is a bit bonkers when you consider that, well, historically, a lot of riders have been using 38 centimetre bars and narrower with no issue. So if you think about, I spoke to Steve Grimwood yesterday, friend of the channel, Retro Bike Nerd. Yeah. And he was telling me that, Eddie Merckx often used 38 centimetre bars. If it's good enough for Eddie Merckx, why do we now, you know...
I mean, in fairness, Eddie Merckx's handlebars probably weren't extreme flares, but they were very narrow still.
Yeah, but they back in the day, you know, in that era, a lot of riders used narrow bars. It was later on they became wider again, and then they become narrower again. But, you know, you think even of, say, a rider like Chris Hoy on the track, winning billions of gold medals all over the place. Like, when you look at him, he was riding tiny little, like, 33 centimetre bars or something daft, you know, and he's a huge hulking muscular sprinter.
The hulk of a man.
Yeah, like, it's ridiculous. But the problem here is that when the UCI have banned and put out this handlebar measurement data, the UCI presented zero data to show how this will impact speed or safety. From what we understand, this has purely all been decided by feelings and not by any scientific or quantitative data or analysis. And they haven't consulted bike fitters.
Yeah, this is the bit that confuses me, because obviously...
Or bike fitting experts.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously working on the basis of the bits of information we actually know. So there could be stuff that we don't actually know yet. But from a bike fit perspective, it seems to make next to no sense. Is that right? Like, I just can't understand in a bike fit aspect why anyone would go, you need to be restricted on your handlebars. It doesn't make sense.
Well, so irrespective of speed and aero, just from an anatomical, ergonomic point of view, you know, we've asked bike fitters, and they're all against this. So My VeloFit is an app that you can use to motion capture yourself and do bike fitting, and something that Phil Burt is heavily involved in, who's, you know, Lord of the Bike Fit.
Bike Fit Group. We've actually got a statement here from. Shall I read some of this out, actually? So they've got here, the new one-size-fits-all policy does not account for the variety in body types and biomechanics among riders. It especially targets the female peloton, who, based on our own extensive database, brackets one of the largest in the world, and other studies, on average require a 38 centimetre handlebar at the widest point. And they say the majority of the pro peloton are already on narrower than the average, who require narrow handlebars anyway. And they also recommend riders to have a slight inward rotation on their levers to better suit the biomechanics of the shoulders and the wrists. The new regulation will require riders to have completely straight hoods in order to comply, which will potentially result in wrist impingements or injury, and excessively wide handlebars to accommodate the levers being tilted slightly inwards. So
and it
doesn't sound great.
Well, yeah, but it means that my bar setup that I have on my Pinarello, absolutely love it. I've done like long endurance rides on it and stuff. Absolutely love it, and I have my levers tilted in ever so slightly, not crazy like, you know, some people have them in crazy.
Taco Vanderhorn style.
Just a little bit of a tilt, but it is really ergonomic and nice for my wrist position. But those that comes now at that centre 28 centimetres. It's now illegal.
Yeah, UCI wouldn't be having that.
Anyway, we also asked Sella Italia because they have their ID match bike fitting system.
Well, incidentally, actually, they confirmed that they just clicked over their 100,000th bike fit analysis.
So they've captured a lot of data. And they said that, and this was something that Dan put in a GCN show the other day as well, that they reckon that 28% of cyclists require a 38 centimetre centre-to-centre handlebar.
Yeah.
And they reckon that's 22% of men and 69% of women. So this is massively discriminatory towards women.
Yeah.
Like,
it makes no sense to me. Well, also, so from a bike fit perspective, actually, there's been calls for like petitions about this, and actually the My VeloFit app have already gone through the process and started a petition. So if you want to
we'll put a link.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to help support that, I mean, get involved and sign it, basically.
I've signed it.
Well, yeah, I haven't yet.
Anyway, the question is then, why is the UCI doing this, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's important to point out that the UCI is under pressure to make the sport safer.
Yeah.
You know, we're just past 2 years of the tragic passing of Gino Mader in Tour de Suisse. And I think if I put my cynical hat on...
You've got a hat on, yeah.
Then I would say that even if you're not making the sport safer, as a governing body, it's almost as important to appear, to outwardly be seen,
to be something,
trying to make the sport safer.
Okay.
And I think that is the case here, if I'm being cynical about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you've got the inclusion of SAFE-R, who've been used in the discussions with the UCI.
Okay. So that, let's say that covers off some of the stuff to do with handlebars, right? Because I mean, we could talk about it forever, but one thing, we could talk on forever, but there's other elements to it. Wheels, probably the next big thing. The changes here are to do with rim depth only. I say only because you can't just say one certain rim depth is safe and one certain rim depth isn't, because there's other elements you need to take into account, such as the rim profile and the design, the tyre that it's combined with. And so now the rule is anything over 65 millimeters is banned. Is that right?
Yeah. So the important thing to understand is like how cycling brands feel about this.
Yeah.
So cycling brands communicate sort of with the UCI through the World Federation in sporting goods, industry, and a lot of the sort of big manufacturers are represented in there, right? And they put it to the UCI that all of this was a bad idea, right? And they presented anatomical data to the UCI. This was all ignored.
Yeah.
So this has been going on now for a couple of, it's been bubbling along for a while before this announcement was made. This has been all presented to the UCI saying, don't do this, it's a bad idea, here's evidence. They've ignored it.
Okay.
So it's important to get that. That is a big thing that people need to know.
People have tried to stop this already.
Yeah. And as you said, there's then the issue with the wheels. And a big thing with this is it's just saying depth. But there's so much more to wheels than depth.
Well, this was the big technological advancement, was that the profiles could improve the stability of deep wheels.
Exactly. So, if you look at the old V-shape profiles, anyone that's ridden those, that's watching this, will, jump in the comments. Like, they're really unstable compared to more modern shapes. If you have an old V-shape 50 millimeter wheel, like a lightweight Meilenstein, and you ride that on a windy crosswind day,
you better hold on tight.
Compared to like a modern, Princeton type wheel.
Yeah.
Blimey heck, like it's a lot less stable.
Yeah.
And so it's discriminating again. You can have a deeper wheel that's more stable, and I think people who've experienced it will know that. Yeah. The other big thing is, say, the tire. There's no account for the tires that are put on those wheels. So if you have a wheel that's designed for a 25 millimeter tire, but you bang on a 30 that then inflates to a 32, that is massively impacting the aerodynamic performance and stability of that wheel and how it stalls in crosswinds. So it can be a lot less stable. And people, none of this is factored in, but all of this will have been explained to the UCI. They've ignored it.
It's pretty mind-blowing. What we need to do now is, you mentioned this at the start of the show actually, is how this is going to impact brands and manufacturers. Because, like you said, people might at the start say this is kind of being driven and pushed by brands to say they want to sell more products or they want to make new things. But I think this actually creates a far bigger headache for brands than you would have realised.
Yes, this is not a big conspiracy by Big Bike to just sell more stuff. And
I'll just check. Tin Hat? No, Tin Hat's not under there.
And the reason is there's a bigger problem here, and that's timescale. So these rules come into force on January the 1st, 2026.
Yeah, okay. That's not actually that far away.
That is not long at all. And the reason is that when brands develop new products and any product or even existing products, the timescales are actually pretty long. So first you have to invest a load of money in R&D, developing and designing the new product. Then you have to get the tooling and the molds to make that new product. You then have to place orders with the factory that's going to make it. And all of this takes a long time. So you will put down an order for, say, 2,000 handlebars, let's say.
Yeah.
It takes several months for that order to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so right now, a lot of brands have orders placed and money invested in new designs that are going to be now illegal under these new rules.
Yeah.
Which is going to be harder to sell that product to people once, so that's not good. But they also need to rapidly develop new product that is in line with these
If
rules.
anything, this could lead...
But they're going to struggle to do that by January the 1st.
So I'm going to say this, if anything, this could lead to a more dangerous situation, because it's going to force brands to develop and rush products out the door, which they might have gone, well, normally we want to test this for a bit longer than that.
Well, not necessarily, but it's arguably you'd go the riders are, at least normally riders would get to, in the off season and before the season starts in November, December, get to try out and use their new equipment, but they're not going to have it ready in time to test it. So they're going to be thrown into races with equipment they've never got to use.
Well, a lot of them don't even want it in the first place.
Well, yeah. And, I think you can say, right, okay, well, it's not the end of the world, because many of us don't actually ride in UCI events. So altogether now,
3, 2, 1. The UCI has no jurisdiction here. That was really good.
Yeah.
Good fist bump for that.
Yeah.
That was great.
Now, I hope people at home joined in on that. Anyway.
Mike's laughing.
But while that is true for 99% of the riding that I do and you now do as an ex-professional, there is that 1% of times, and it's usually quite a significant 1%, where we might do a race or a Gran Fondo or an event.
So you've really been building
the UCI kind of, you do have to have a compliant piece of equipment. And so that is probably still going to impact you in the back of your mind, the things that you buy. And so it is still a problem for manufacturers. So I think that's just worth factoring in.
One thing I want to chime in on next is to move across. I've just seen here, it's just reminded me. Helmets, right? We haven't spoken about this yet. This is also included in the regulation updates. Time trial helmets in road races are now going to be banned. Do you know what? Having just ranted for a lot of this show, I'm all for it.
I'm getting on board with that.
On board for it.
On board with that.
If anything, I'm going to petition for that to happen sooner.
Yeah, start a change.org.
With immediate effect.
Petition, yeah. No, I'm on board with that. I think that's good. If only they could buy band size massive sunglasses as well.
UCI has no jurisdiction over what he does.
Yeah, well, anyway, I'm on board with that. And I think something else that, Si mentioned on the GCN show, and it's worth pointing out, is the UCI is in a tough position.
100%.
Like, we get it. Like, they're sort of between a rock and a hard place, to use that idiom, because they feel they are, in a position where they have to be seen to be making the sport safer. And they probably do want to make the sport safer.
Of course they do, yeah.
And I just feel that doing narrower bars and putting this wheel depth restriction in is not necessarily the answer. And I think that if you actually used scientific rigour and analysed the leading causes of crashes, you would probably get a much better idea of how to make the sport safer, just using some statistical analysis.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, I'm going to just put it out there now, I'm pretty blooming confident that it's not bar width.
I would agree. I don't think there could be, again, speculating, I don't think there's going to be anyone in the pro peloton, men's or women's, that have gone, do you know what, if my handlebars were wider, everything would be much safer.
And I'm going to throw this out there as well. The bar setup I have on my Pinarello at the moment, the handling of that bike, I've done like PR descent times on a lot of famous climbs and descents I've gone down with that bike, and it's got narrow bars, and I don't feel compromised in any way, and I think other people that use narrow bars don't feel compromised. Like Pidcock's bars are pretty blooming narrow.
Yeah.
Like it's not, if you think, and you just think biomechanically, it's like on a mountain bike you want wide handlebars because you have to make very quick, sharp steering adjustments constantly. So a wide bar on a mountain bike is better handling for a mountain bike. But a road bike is completely different.
Yeah.
And you think, well, Formula One cars don't have massive bus HGV steering wheels
like steer off
to
a
make
ship.
quick adjustments. It's smooth, progressive.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Look, right, let's open it up to the comments, right? Get involved. Let us know your thoughts on these equipment updates and regulations, but also let us know what you think you would do given a blank sheet of paper in order to help try and make the sport safer. Because I think that is the interesting aspects. It's easy to pick faults and stuff, but I want to hear what people think and how they think it could be safer.
We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, more tyre grip. More tyre grip.
All
for
right.
Wet and dry.
There you go. Tyre grip, that'll start everyone off.
There you go.
Okay, straight into hot tech then, shall we? It's now time for hot and spicy tech, and we're going to kick things off, actually, by going out of here, and we're going to throw to Si, because Si has got his hands on a brand new gravel bike, which also happens to have a new group set on. So here's Si to tell you all about it.
Hey guys, I have here with me the latest gravel bike from Orbea. This is their new Terra. Now, it's a bit of a departure from its predecessor, which was both gravel race bike and adventure bike. This one is a little bit more towards the adventure end of the spectrum. I'm going to explain why in just a moment. Now, the big take-homes from this are that they've worked to increase the compliance of the bike at the rear end. So you see the top tube tapers down, is really narrow. Also, the seat tube narrows and the seat stays as well. And there's quite a long, slender seat post there with, I'm a big fan of this, traditional seat post collar too. Now the front end is ever so slightly higher as well, so it's a little bit more comfortable for longer days in the saddle, and tyre clearance as well has been increased to 50 millimetres. The geometry of the bike has been tweaked ever so slightly as well, so the bottom bracket is a little bit lower, the wheelbase is a little bit longer, so should give you a bit more stability when railing rough descents really quickly. But actually, you'll see this bike's a little bit dusty. That's because I've been taking it out for a very long ride today. It still feels really fast, actually, particularly stripped back like this. Now, in terms of those rugged elements, it's covered in mounting points. So you can see you've got 3 on the forks here. You've got top tube mounting points. Top tube mounting points. You've got mounting points on the top tube. You can fit a rack on here. There's mudguard eyelets on here. But a really nice touch is that it's got frame-saving tape on both the head tube, the top tube, and it's got a big rugged rubber bumper on the down tube and also on the seat stays there as well. So yeah, very cool. And then lastly, you see the down tube swells at this point. That's to increase the storage inside it. So apparently it's been boosted by 35%. This one currently contains, very comfortably, an inner tube, a mini pump and a multi-tool. Frankly, I could get about 4,000 calories of energy chews stuffed down there as well. Now, before I throw back to you guys in the studio, Ollie and Alex, I thought I would also point out that this bike has a brand new group set on. Yes, it has got the new SRAM Force Explore. Now, this is one of 4 group sets that SRAM have launched this week. So we've got Force Access for road, Force Explore for gravel, Rival Access for road, and Rival Explore for gravel. Now, the main features are the fact that it's functionally the same as Red. So functionally the same as Red Access or Red Explore. So this one is 13 speed. You'll see it's got that direct mount rear derailleur, which means that you don't use a normal derailleur hanger. It's got a UDH, so it bolts directly onto the frame. Then what else has it got? So we've got the new brakes as well, which are super, super powerful. So genuine one-finger braking. And the levers that I was a huge fan of on the new Red. So the hydraulic piston, instead of being mounted vertically, is mounted horizontally. So that means that you have this much lower profile, and I find it super comfortable to hang on to. So functionally, the same as Red. A little bit more affordable, a little bit heavier, but it's worth noting that both the Force group sets and the Rival group sets have shed significant weight over their predecessors. So yeah, pretty cool. I think it looks great, to be honest with you.
Well, cheers, Si. Next up, TRP group set.
Yes.
Tell us about this.
I can tell you about it. It's the TRP Vista, and it's so TRP have teamed up with Classified. Now, I actually saw a bit of a sneak peek and demo product of this at Eurobike last year, as did a lot of people that were there. And now it has finally come to market, and they're calling it the world's first 1x16 speed group set, or if you get the gravel option, 1x15 speed. So I'm going to just say this right here up front. To me, it feels a little bit of a stretch to call it that, but you'll understand more when I explain how it works. Okay? So on the face of it, if I said to you 1x16 speed group set, first thing you're going to think of is, cool, 1 chainring, 16 sprockets at the back, right? No, that's not how the system works. So the way it works is with utilising the Classified internal 2-speed geared hub at the back. Yeah, everyone's familiar with that.
Inside the planetary gears.
The planetary gears inside the hub. You've then got a 12-speed cassette, and then you shift through the gears sequentially, and then when you get to a crossover point on the gear ratios, the next time you change gear, the Classified hub is going to shift and the rear derailleur is going to shift down to compensate on it. So you have 16 individual gear ratios that go up in sequence from smallest ratio to highest ratio. Okay,
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then that happens all automatically. On the gravel side, it's 15 individual gears. But on top of that, if you really want to, you can control it manually yourself. So it operates as like a kind of 2x12 speed setup.
It's pretty cool.
I think that's the simplest explanation I could give for it.
I think it's pretty cool for like fine-tuning your gearing on off-road and gravel situations is really, really useful.
Yeah, 100%. And I do like the fact that it makes things super, super simple. It cleans up your bike because you haven't got the multiple chain rings, makes it a little bit more aero. Not necessarily saving any weight because the classified system's complexity typically makes it a bit heavier than a lightweight 2x setup. But it's not really what it's all about.
Yeah.
So in terms of a couple of other stats here, the difference between the road and the gravel bike derailleurs. So the gravel bike derailleur's got a capacity of up to 40 teeth and the road one goes up to 34 teeth. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Nice.
I also think there's some more news coming on this front, so we'll have to stay tuned to find out more next week.
On the topic of wider gears being used, do you watch the Dauphiné?
Well, I didn't watch the stage I think you're about to reference, but I've seen sections of it.
Okay, so the Dauphiné was last week.
Yeah.
Mathieu van der Poel had an XTR cassette on his bike with a wider range of gears on there.
Yes, so I did see this.
That's a mountain bike.
Yeah, I was going to say, for those of you who don't know, XTR is the mountain bike equivalent of Dura-Ace. And that was paired up with a GRX 12-speed rear derailleur, which is the gravel groupset from Shimano. Now, I first looked at this and thought,
And he was
okay.
doing this, let's just be clear, he was doing this in the TT.
Yeah, now I looked at this and thought, right, this kind of makes sense. If you're going to run a one by chain ring up front, you want the wider range cassette. And then I took a closer look and I was like, hold on, he's still using a 2x chain set up front. So he's got a crazy wide cassette and then also still got the additional gear range from the chainring option.
He did a solid TT though, to be fair.
Clearly worked.
Yeah, interesting. More sort of weird tech that I spotted there. Van der Poel's also using, well, I don't believe it's he's sponsored by them, but he had a scope
Rear disc.
With the fish scales.
Yeah, the fish scales, yeah.
Intriguing. And Remco has a new visor.
Yeah.
Well, he won the time trial, his TT position is just like poetry in motion, isn't it? He's like incredible, small and aero. But he appears to have a visor where they've cut a slot, which I think, looking at it, it looks like they've cut a slot in the visor so that he can get his hands closer to his head. So otherwise the visor would like make him have to be like that. He can be like that.
Well, it's got a twofold advantage because it's also going to help improve cooling a little bit as well.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't actually know. Or third option, he just wanted to be special.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like that's probably less likely to be the case.
Yeah, we've got some new Orbea. Why am I saying Orbea?
To know.
Like beer. Yeah. Anyway, Orbea.
Updates.
Wheels, bars, all sorts.
Yeah, so having just had Si explain about the new gravel bike, well, they've also got updates to their handlebar setup. So Orbea bikes typically come with their own branding, handlebars and stems, but they've now got an integrated cockpit named the OCSH RA10. It's available in 11 different sizes. Hopefully UCI compliant, having just talked about all of that. And they say it's an integrated solution with a clean aesthetic, GPS computer mount, and, well, clearly says here, UCI compliance. They're helping to optimise rider position and enhance aerodynamics, and in the narrowest size that is available, which is 380 millimetres, 311 grams. Also, updates to their own brand wheels, the OQUO wheels, they're now supplied with a brand new hub design.
So they used to have zip hubs on their wheels.
Yeah, I think there could have been a few different options you could choose from. So now, newly developed Q10 hub, they're saying it weighs 104 grams for the front, 175 for the
Light
rear.
hubs.
Making it one of the lightest hub on the market. And then in addition to those updates, well, there's also some updates to the colourways that are available on the Orca and the Orca Aero, I believe. So, yeah, keep your eyes peeled for
There's
that.
blooming loads of wheels this week.
Actually... Yeah, we should talk about the...
Elite have new wheels as well.
So, yeah, Elite have got two updates here. Firstly, let's talk about the time trial disc wheel. So, updates here, it's their most
Love a disc
aerodynamic time trial wheel. Redefined rim shape, 955 grams, designed to be ultra narrow to reduce drag, but also with the updated ratchet free hub in it here. So you've got a 50-tooth free hub. They're saying a 7.2 degree engagement angle. And also, it's been tested at Silverstone Sports Engineering Hub, and they're saying the Elite Wheels Drive TT wheels recorded just 76 watts of power consumption at 45 kilometers an hour with a negative 20 degree yaw angle. So if you're into your nerdy stats, which I'm going to say for time trial wheels, I'm not. I presume that's great. Really cool valve cutout and is optimized for tyres from 25 to 30C. So there you go.
Nice.
Second wheels.
Velo 6.
Yeah, so you know these wheels, right? They're the crazy 6-spoke wheels from Elite Wheels. I actually rode them in a video a little while back.
They're proper bling. I'm going to call them a statement piece.
They are a statement piece. So there's been updates and revisions to this wheel, right? It's now been made to be more aerodynamic, increasing stiffness and responsiveness, while also reducing the weight. So it's got a wider 21 millimeter internal rim width.
I thought, was it not 21 before?
Apparently not.
Wow.
I think this was one of the differences between that wheel set and the wheels in Elite's range at the time, was it was particularly narrow. Elite wheels are saying 95% improvement in drive side lateral stiffness, 89% increase in non-drive side lateral stiffness, and there you go, some pretty blink speedy boys if that's what you're into.
I have to get our hands on a couple of those. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I said it before in the last video. I think they're just a little bit too bling for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm kind of like a understated guy.
Okay, well you might like this, right? So, this, do you remember, this is from Ridenow.
Yeah.
Right? Chinese brand.
Brand I'm familiar with, yeah.
Yeah, because we found their pink TPU tubes that you could get online.
Crazy light.
Really light pink TPU tubes they do. Well, in this box, cool little box, isn't it? These are titanium Thru-Axles. So I got these for the Orbea.
Yeah.
Right, because I was trying to make my Orbea as light as possible. But they do these, they'll do them for whatever bike you have, because different bikes have different threads on the Thru-Axles. But these are crazy light, right?
This is mental.
I like the little box they come in.
Right, a few things. You had me at the box straight away.
You're into that.
You had me when you said the word titanium, and now I've seen these, I'm like, in my head
really
I'm thinking,
nice.
Take my money.
Yeah. They're so light, they're like hollow, but they are like...
These are nice.
So my thinking is, with
Yeah.
Thru-Axles, I know that there are some brands out there where you can get carbon ones,
Yeah.
but I just don't trust a carbon one. I spoke to Oleg from Twisted Wheels. He used some carbon ones, and he snapped a carbon one.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want that. Do you?
Yeah, so no. But titanium, I would use that. I think that's cool. And there's probably not much weight difference between that and a carbon one, because they're so light.
It's mad how light that is.
I think it's a good saving, weight saving. Yeah.
I mean,
cool.
I don't want to sound like I don't appreciate what you got me for my birthday, but these would have been great for my birthday.
Yeah. It's always next year, mate.
Yeah,
It's always
great.
next year.
Also, not really tech as such, but more on the news front is... go on, you sort that out first.
You carry on.
All right, thanks. More on the news front, actually, is that last week I promised everybody the Unbound video was coming out at the weekend.
Yeah.
Turns out it was a false promise, I couldn't deliver.
Oh.
But this week, there's hope.
It's on it.
It's going to be out. Basically, didn't quite get the video exactly how I wanted it to be, so it was like, right, we need to get this right. Let's delay it for a week and make everyone wait.
Okay.
There you go. This
I'm
weekend.
looking forward to it.
Are you subscribed to GCN to turn on your notifications? You won't miss out.
Yeah, thanks.
Great.
Mate. Yeah, I'll remember to do that.
Right. It's now time for comments of the week. This is the part of the show where we pick out comments you've been leaving from underneath our videos. And then my good friend here, Ollie, is going to read them out.
Yeah.
Over
So
to you.
first up, we have a comment from Harry974 under your tyre width video. People love a tyre width video.
They do.
They do. And it says the fastest tyre width for me is 23 millimeters because anything bigger will rub my frame. Yeah, I know it's time to update my bike.
I saw a lot of comments along this kind of line, and it's like, I really don't want to feel like I'm telling people to upgrade their bike, but typically you could broadly say the fastest tyre might be the widest one that fits in your bike if you've got an older bike.
That's a fair comment.
If you've got an older bike, yeah. Paul Lavery.
Avery.
Paul Avery. 897. Damn, I wanted to know how 32mm worked out compared to 30mm. Well, do you know what, Paul? It would appear a hell of a lot of other people wanted to know that as well. So, fear not, because I'm going to get to that in the future.
Yeah, and subscribe. We'll get round to it.
It was definitely something I did on purpose to make sure people commented in the video.
You definitely didn't do that on purpose.
It definitely wasn't that. I just completely overlooked 32 and just forgot about it.
This is the thing, though. Whenever you like test anything or like research anything, you know, I learnt this when I was doing chemistry back in the day. It's like every time you answer a question, it just leads to more questions.
Yeah. So yes, we will revisit this, and I pinky promise to everybody, we'll do a 32mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on the video that he did that was the worst tech that people still use.
Yeah.
Mega Soctopus Legion of Cake.
Oh, you missed the numbers at the end.
6248 says big. I love the way that 6,247 people had already chosen that username, so we had to.
Right, go on.
Anyway, big saddlebag contents, 2 tubes, rain jacket, spare lights, multi-tool, quick link, and patches. If I'm out, I want to be self-sufficient.
Yeah, I thought, you know what? Fair enough.
Might want to put some like matches and fire sticks and a tent in there while you're at it.
Kitchen sink?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hippie Lee says saddle covers aren't solving anything.
this made me laugh so
It's
much.
like if your dog shat on the floor and you put a rug on top of it to cover it.
It just made me laugh so much. I was like, that's the most obscure analogy to compare to saddle covers, but do you know what? I'm here for it.
Yeah, saddle covers are the worst. They are terrible.
Okay, and then another one here from Doach. They say quite a few people I know use spray adhesive glue to stick their number plates onto their backs, mostly to prevent safety pins that put holes in New Jersey. It seems to work well enough. So because I asked people to let me know other solutions that they had to pinning on a number, maybe that's one to try.
Cool, yeah.
Actually, saying that, I do recall over the years some of the bigger races that I have done. Sometimes they would actually supply you with self-adhesive numbers, but you still had to pin them on because they were like going to come off anyway. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, bike vault. It's now time for the bike vault, part of the show where you upload your bikes and we judge them to be nice or super nice. If they're super nice, Ollie has a cup of tea and we ring the bell.
Right, who have we got first this week?
It's from OG Shorty from Summer SF Bay Area, California. They say they're not getting younger, and here's a picture of their bike, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, look, this bike. Firstly, I think they've said about some crazy crankset.
Oh, that's an aeroed. I love that generation of aeroed.
Yeah.
That's...
Is that a peak aero rim brake bike?
Yeah.
It's amongst them, isn't it?
Oh, that's that. Those... That was... yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's the generation that I finished my racing on, right, that bike. And
with the dual pivot brakes.
I really, really, really regret selling my race bikes. I wish I'd have just kept them.
I used to have one of those. I really like that bike.
I would like to buy my race bike back. So if anyone purely by chance
has
my bike, can you let me know? Because I would probably buy it back.
They'll be like, it's yours for £9,999,999.
Yeah, you can keep it in that case.
Okay.
Anyway, back to this bike. Super nice.
That's a super nice.
Custom cranks machined to really short, they say.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Bonifaci 87 has a Tifosi Cavazzo gravel bike with Ekar on it.
Oh, I like this.
Oh, I like that. I quite like that Apidura bag that's bolted onto the top tube. That's very neat.
Sorry, who are you? When did you like having a top tube bag?
That's a neat one. That's not like unsightly, untidy gubbins. It fits with that style of bike.
Oh, I lost for words. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Great.
Don't worry, I'm not turning into Connor.
This is great. Let me guess, you love the little mini fender on the forks as well?
Oh, I didn't even see that.
That's a little spoiler.
As long as it doesn't catch on the down tube, I can be all right with that.
Okay,
it's very
I'm
neat
all for
and
it.
tied. I like the paint job. That's a cool bike.
Can we supernize this?
Yeah, that's a super nice. That's a good one.
Next up, we have Charles Allen, Army vet from Connecticut, USA.
So
Quite a long-winded username.
Does he look after animals in the army, or is he a veteran of the army? It's unclear.
Very unclear. Yeah.
Yeah.
2023 Yolio R12 with SRAM red, Fast Sports wheels, Sotala saddle, industry known wheel bearings. Very specific.
What do you make of the shadow stick that's being used?
That's a very large stick propping up the back wheel.
Yeah, that is.
Some would perhaps call it a tree trunk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's. So the valves are nearly aligned, albeit at the 9 o'clock position. The cranks are nearly aligned, albeit 180 degrees out. The gearing is not in the correct position. The bike is cool though.
It is a cool bike. It is. I do think it's well presented. That I think that's cool. I'm all for the like seeing more and more Chinese stuff as people are embracing it.
Yeah.
I'm like on board with it.
I'm totally. I mean, it looks absolutely boss, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Should we supernice
I think
it?
we can supernice that.
Yeah, mostly for the shadow stand. We got
Kieran Butler.
Kieran Butler with a Trek Madone top of Jubilee Tower.
Oh, it's at the top of the Trough of Bowland in Lancashire.
Let me guess, you know where that is?
Well, yeah, I know the Trough of Bowland, yeah.
Oh yeah, me too. Another great shadow stand.
There's a lot of witches live around there.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Right. The last of the great rim brakes, he says. I had one of those. I won a race on it.
Did you?
Yeah, it was a fast bike. Yeah.
Oh boy. Also, are they the zips with aluminium braking surfaces?
They are.
Sort of fixes your issue of carbon wheels that don't work in the wet when you brake.
What's amazing is he says he put this together for under £1,000.
No way.
Yeah. And that is a great example of, cycling.
£1,000?
Cycling's becoming more and more expensive, right? But, when we've shown this with used bikes that you can buy, there are some absolute bargains out there. And those old Madons like that with those particular integrated aero brakes are a bit pants.
That's why I had to get the aluminium braking surface.
I wouldn't want to descend the Angleroo using those brakes, but rapid, absolutely rapid, fast bike, amazing. It's a great bike.
Super nice?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
What do you think of the Shadow Stone?
Shadow Stone? Minus 1 point for that. Next up, brilliant username, Long Fatty, with a Wabi Special H+.
I don't know what a Wabi is.
No, it's one of these.
But it's a fixie.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling this. Too much going on.
I don't know what, we've got a serious sort of Viagra stem going on.
Very much so. Normally fan of brown saddles,
but what?
not in this instance.
Well, yeah, I thought you would have been all over the brown. There's a lot of brown, matching brown bar tape. It's a really nice bike, that. And I love the polished sort of aluminium chrome bits contrasting against the blue and the brown. I actually think that's really, really nice. The problem is why on earth have you photographed it in like the darkest, dingiest corner of your garden on what appears to be a really nice sunny day?
We'll never know. But on that basis, I'm going to say it's a nice.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. Please actually take a better picture.
What do you think to the shadow pot by the front wheel?
Yeah. Are we going to need to start giving people shadow stands here?
Available at shop.globalcycling.net.
God.
Yeah,
right.
There you go. Right.
So nice?
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Jimmy Green. Right.
This is, okay, so this is a bike he's made for his wife. Get this right. I've got all the information here. Total cost, £255.
Love it. That's 250. What?
I know, I did exactly the same thing. I was mind blown. This is unbelievable. Like, make me one of those for £225.
I hope your wife knows how lucky she is to have you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible. And you're going to love it because there's just loads of brown going on.
Yeah, a whole celebration of brown.
So much of brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a super nice.
Super nice all day long.
That's a nice garage door and cobbles as well.
Yeah.
I like that.
DA_Wolfgang.
Yeah. He's cycling in the Sella Ronda around the Dolomites.
Oh, yeah.
With an Orbea Orca. What do you make of that? Ultegra Di2 on there.
Quite tricky to see the bikes, very wide shot, but I'm liking the colours actually.
That's just beautiful in the Dolomites, isn't it?
Yeah, that looks great.
Quite cool. I mean, that's obviously a custom one with the orange and black colourway, but cool. I like that.
Cool shot actually, and because I can't quite see all the details on the bike, it looks like it's presented correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, super nice. Right, what have we got? That's it.
Oh.
That was the last one for the show.
That was a good run.
Yeah.
Good run of bikes this week.
Yeah.
Some good ones.
Well, that's it. Straws the shows. We're closed.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute blast. But good to have you back, actually. I feel like we haven't seen each other for ages.
Well, good. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Good to have you back as well. You've been all over the place as well.
Yeah, bit of this, bit of that. Right, get involved in the comment section. Share your thoughts on the UCI regulations. Best ones, well, we'll pick them out and read them next week. We're out of here. Ciao.
Ciao.